how is it that then the students are able to get all this other money in scholarships? Anybody want to help us out? Anybody want to unmute yourself and tell us, how do you think students are able to get so much more money in scholarship dollars than that it kind of exceeds the cost of attendance? Okay, I see Alyssa. Tell me, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell us what you think the answer is. Alyssa D. So it won't let me unmute you.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. The reason why I think this is possible because it has to do with like your grades as well as like your test scores, but it can be for, you can get a scholarship for almost like anything. So it doesn't, and then it can be for varies between like $50 to like $500 to $1,000. So that's why I think there's no max.
Okay. So that's very great. Anybody else got a different opinion? Like, why would you think there is no max, or how do you think students are able to accumulate more scholarship dollars than they actually need? You can raise your hand and unmute yourself.
It could also be like what they're involved in as well. Like
okay.
Extracurriculars and community projects.
Right, so the technical answer is up to cost of attendance, but the way that a lot of students are able to really navigate getting additional scholarship dollars is they know how to negotiate with the scholarship programs and negotiate with the universities, right? So some of our students are able to use extra scholarship money if they want to study abroad. Some of our students are able to have their scholarship checks sent to the college bookstore so that they're able to really have a balance on that account. And so a lot of this is just understanding how to manage your resources and how to really be strategic in your dollars. Some scholarship programs will hold the money until you need it. So Coca-Cola Scholars, for instance, they will hold the scholarships. If you get, say, tuition and room covered the first year, they'll hold the money because tuition might increase by 3%, or you might have a one-time scholarship that you need to replace. And so you have to have a real solid understanding of your total cost of attendance, so you know how to maneuver and advocate for yourself in the college funding pipeline so that you don't lose any of your scholarship money. And so over the last few years, we've been seeing a lot more students end up like colleges are sending scholarship checks back because they've hit up to the cost of attendance, but then if they might have a gap the next year. And so you want to be really, really pay attention to that, because we want you to keep the money that you earn and be able to not only get into your top schools, but be able to stay there and graduate. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the scholarship myths. And I know a lot of times when we talk about scholarships, students get intimidated. They've heard so many things. They think scholarships are only for students with high GPAs or high test scores. So just in the chat, give me the reasons why you think you might not get a scholarship. And we'll have Tom share one or two of those out. Like, what are the biggest myths that you heard about the scholarship process in general? Or what are you most concerned about, especially for my seniors, when you're thinking about really diving into the scholarship process this semester? What are the things that you're really most concerned about at this time of the year? You can post in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and unmute yourself, we'll give you an opportunity to do that as well.
Can you repeat the question?
So when you think about kind of the scholarship process, what are you most concerned about as you're about to start? Or what are some of the biggest reasons you think students don't get money? What are you worried about? Okay, I see Zahara with your hand raised. Go ahead and unmute yourself so we can hear you. Did I say your name right? I'm sorry.
Do you mean sincerely?
No, I see Zahara.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I feel like with the pandemic, so the thing that will like probably like is not like gonna stop us to get the scholarship is gonna be like the activities that we have to do, like extracurriculum activities.
So that's a really great response, right? So if we're thinking about how the world has changed over the last months, right? So scholarship programs are looking for students who demonstrate their leadership, who are involved civically, right? And so you may not have had as many opportunities to kind of participate in some of those resume builders over the last few months, right? And so you have to have something to write about. So that is a very valid concern. One thing and share with you is that there's so many virtual volunteering opportunities and so many opportunities for you to demonstrate leadership through your own projects, whether that's through launching a blog or doing some kind of video project. We've had some students helping to register people to vote, some students starting virtual support groups for their peers. So I would challenge you to think outside of the box of what you can still do so that doesn't become a barrier for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a bunch of great comments written, Jessica. I don't know if you're going to get to them or not.
Yeah, go ahead and share a couple out because I'm not able to catch them all.
Well, I thought you were talking about Sincerely. Sincerely wrote, "I don't have enough community service or clubs, so the scholarship search might not want me." More applicants. Xavier wrote, more applicants than available money. Tristan, I'm sorry if I butcher any of your names. I'm so sorry. Tristan says, "I'm scared of essay because of English is not my first language." I hear this one a lot from Miles Anthony J. Scholarships are based on financial need. That's not always the case, but a lot of people believe that.
Right.
It's statistic based. I don't want them to define me as a person or GPA or SAT. And that's from, AKA Dan. Thank you, Dan, because we mess up your name too. I'm most concerned about scholarships. I'm most concerned about scholarship is my test score. I'm most concerned about my scholarship is my test scores and my parents' income. So a lot of these are based around either achievement levels in terms of academics or whether they either are having too much money or whether they are in a need-based category or whether they are academically being challenged.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's really awesome, and thank you, Tom, for sharing those out. So I took a couple of notes. So first, let me say, you do not have to have a high GPA and test scores to be competitive for all scholarships. Scholarships are for students who go above and beyond in some category. And so when we talk about where to find the money, I want you guys to get in your mind the category that you think you excel in. So whatever it is that you would brag about the most amongst your peers, whatever you get complimented on the most in school, the things that you have, the natural leadership skill sets that you built over the years. Think about what kinds of organizations along those lines will be interested in those spaces. And then a lot of times they're not gonna, penalize you because you don't have a 4.0 GPA. They're looking at what have you done to demonstrate leadership? How have you overcome obstacles that you had to face and still show your ability to commit to going to college and commit to doing the things that it takes to stay there. They want to know about what the special talents that you've been cultivating over the last few years. They want to know about awards that you received, right? And so the great thing about the private scholarship space is they're looking for the things that make you awesome and amazing already, right? And so you don't have to kind of focus so heavy on the GPA and the test scores. Now the need part though, so there's a difference between need-based aid and merit-based aid. And hopefully you guys have had some opportunities to talk about that a little bit in your respective schools, but need-based aid is based off of whatever your parents bring to the table. Merit-based aid is based off of what you bring to the table, right? So we're looking for all of the things that make you unique that scholarship organizations, especially local scholarship organizations, are going to want to make an investment in you, right? Because the reason that people give scholarships is because they're making an investment in who they think they're going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And a lot of times, research shows your GPA and SAT, ACT scores are not real solid indicators of who you're going to be that would make a local or state-based scholarship program invest in you as a person. Okay. I'm going to keep going because I want to make sure we dive into some of these resources. But again, I will stop at the end and take questions, and you can continue to post questions in the chat, and Tom will just, you know, interrupt me and pump in when there's some questions that I can directly address. So one thing that I wanted to make sure you guys were familiar with. So unfortunately this year, the U.S. Department of Education took down their FAFSA forecaster tool, but I think that the College Board still has an awesome college cost calculator. And there's another website I'm going to ask Tom to post in the chat. collegecost.ed.gov is another great website, because a lot of the scholarship process starts with you having clear direction and setting goals, right? So when I hear students talking about they have applied for 100 scholarships and they haven't won anything, I say, you don't have a strategy, you didn't have a goal, and you weren't being intentional about the process, right? So I'm going to tell you where to find scholarships, but our recommendation at Scholarship Academy is to find 15 to 20 scholarships that are what we would consider good fit scholarships for you, right? So everybody's not going to win Coca-Cola. Everybody's not going to win Gates, right? But there's a core list of local and state-based opportunities, and we're going to share a couple that we pull for you guys towards the end of the presentation today that are a perfect fit for you, who you are, for the activities that you've done, for your family background, for your career aspirations. So a big part of this starts with you setting a goal. I would encourage you guys to start with the college cost calculator, crunch the numbers, and find out how much money in private scholarships you need to raise to be able to afford your top college choice, right? That's the best place to start, because now I know, okay, if I need to raise $20,000, then I need to multiply that by 4 because I plan to stay a minimum of 4 years, right? And so now I get an idea of how hard I need to work in the scholarship process. So if I'm looking at $80,000, then I know at minimum I need to submit about 20 really good fit scholarship applications to hit my goal. And so this process is really about you formulating a strategy around the research process and not just logging onto all the websites you've seen. So all the FastWebs, the scholarships.com, there's so many resources out there, it can be overwhelming. I'm hopeful in our time I can help you parse through some of the ones that are a little more effective to help you navigate. But really it's about what's your goal, how much money do you need to raise, and then what scholarship organizations are looking for you, right? That's where we want to start. So hopefully Mr. Butler has posted that information so you guys can have it, collegecost.ed.gov, and of course the College Board Big Futures platform, so you guys have access to that after our session today. I'm going to move on. So, you know, in paying for college, you know, a big part of the question is, what am I even paying for, right? So you got $20,000, $30,000. I think the most expensive I've seen has been like $70,000 or $80,000 for like some of those New York schools or University of Chicago, right? So we're looking at these big ticket universities. What's the money getting, right? So you're covering your tuition and fees, your room and board, your books and supplies, and miscellaneous expenses, right? And so those are kind of the 4 primary categories. And if you're thinking about private scholarships, one thing you really want to pay attention to is what they're specifically saying the money can be used for. So it's not exactly helpful if you are applying for private scholarships that cover full tuition if you are fairly confident you're going to get a tuition scholarship from your college or university, right? Because those two are going to cancel each other out. So some of this is, am I searching for the right bucket of money for my actual financial aid needs, right? So if you've got tuition and fees covered, then you want to focus on the scholarships that are going to cover everything else you need to be able to afford to stay on your college campus. And so there's 4 types of aid. There's scholarships and grants, free money, right? So we'll talk, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Georgia Hope Grant and those requirements. The federal Pell Grant is also another great opportunity. I'll do $10 Cash App to the first person that tells me the maximum amount of the federal Pell Grant right now. What is the maximum amount of the federal Pell Grant for 2020-2021 school year? And so Tom, if you just pay attention to see who posted first, because these are numbers we need to know, right? Colleges are big businesses, and your #1 job is to be a smart consumer in this entire process. So we're looking at scholarships, we're looking at grants, we got loans, which is that dirty word we don't use that often at Scholarship Academy. And then we have have the college work study. So where basically you can work on campus and receive a stipend, but that money doesn't come at the beginning of the year, right? So you still have to figure out how to manage your financial aid package so that you can accumulate those funds towards your education. Okay, Tom, we got a winner?
I think we do. Sincerely, 6345,
All right.
$6,345.
All right, congratulations, sincerely. If you want to just privately chat, Mr. Butler, your Cash App, if you have it, we'll go ahead and treat you to lunch tomorrow on Scholarship Academy, okay? Awesome. So we got what we're paying for. And so now it's the question is, where is the money? So what organizations or groups are in your community that might give away scholarships? What organizations are you guys already familiar with that give away scholarship dollars locally? It can be any group, any civic group that you can think of, any corporation that you know of. Think about what organizations in your community are giving away money. Anybody know of any? You can raise your hand or you can post it in the chat so Tom can share it out for me. What organizations or groups in your community are giving away money? Okay, I see Zahara, go ahead and unmute yourself.
In the church, it could be like relations.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a number of churches that have scholarship programs. And if you're attending a church and they don't have one, what leadership would you be able to really demonstrate if you make a suggestion that they actually start one for the young people in your class, right? And so there's a church in the Atlanta metro area, Cascade United Methodist Church, that gives away I feel like $20,000 every year, and you don't even have to be a member of that church to take advantage of that scholarship opportunity. So churches are an awesome source of scholarship resources. Anybody know of any other places, what community groups and organizations are giving away scholarship dollars? Anybody know of any others? Anybody know of any others? No?
Like Chick-fil-A, fast food.
Yeah, so
McDonald's.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I was gonna say McDonald's, Burger King.
So
Like
McDonald's, right? They're gonna give some. Well, I haven't seen the Ronald McDonald House Charities one in a while, but hopefully they'll bring that one back. So I'm thinking more like the local, right? So those are national corporations. Think about smaller community groups. They may be $1,000. It may be a $500 book scholarship. So I see a couple. I'm sorry, I see a couple in the chat.
Anthony wrote credit unions and banks.
Absolutely. So Delta Community Credit Union is an awesome example. They do multiple scholarships throughout the year, right? So you want to think about those kind of low-hanging fruit opportunities and why? Because that's going to be less competition. The name of the game is to cut down your competition as much as you possibly can, right? So Coca-Cola gets 80,000 applications every year. That's awesome, but I'd much rather compete against the 20 people that might even know about the Delta Community Credit Union. Out of that 20, probably 7 or 8 will be really competitive. And so now I'm increasing the chances that I'm going to be competitive and win that money.
We got Walmart.
I think Walmart, Publix.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you
Target.
got Walmart,
Target.
Publix, Target. Right. So even if I could just challenge you guys, like we got this time now where you're working virtually, take 3 hours a week and just make a list of the companies, of the corporations in your community. I saw somebody posted civic groups and sororities and fraternities, right? All of these organizations are going to provide low-hanging fruit scholarship opportunities. And so you want to take time and make your own list, something that's not going to be on FastWeb, something that's not going to be on scholarships.com, but think about who in your community is going to care about you being successful in your field of study and follow those money lines in that direction. Okay, the next question is, what are some examples of scholarship opportunities that might be associated with your parents? Anybody know of any scholarship opportunities that are associated with your parents? Which one of these is correct?
All of the above.
all of the above, right? So militaryscholars.org is a good place to start if your parent or grandparent has served in the military, and each branch of the military has their own scholarship program. Raise your hand if you know if your parents' jobs have scholarship opportunities. Your parents' places of employment are another great source of resources. And then organizations that your parents are involved in. So that could be civic groups, that could be sororities, fraternities, that could be other groups like the Elks, the Masons, the Rotary Club, right? And so you want to sit down with your parents and say, hey, what can you guys contribute to my scholarship process, right? Now, this is a family affair. So you want to sit down and say, out of my 20, what do you bring to the table? What about your job? Do you have an account with the credit union, right? So you're kind of having them list out all of the ways that they can support you with your scholarship search and get you off of FastWeb and some of those other websites. So you can really find a list that is more tailored to your profile. All right, tell me, who can give me examples of scholarships for Georgia students? Anybody have?
I have
Yeah.
two. Zell Miller and Hope.
Zell Miller and Hope, those are great ones, right? Absolutely. So those are two really big ones for Georgia students. If you're planning to stay in the state of Georgia, we definitely want to make sure that you are pulling your information from GA Futures to make sure you're on track to be eligible for those dollars, because you definitely don't want to be surprised towards the end of that pipeline as well, right? So we talked about a couple of local resources, but there's also a number of scholarship search engines and mobile apps. There's so many resources out there. That honestly, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, right? And so I got my first $100,000 in scholarships because I really took the time and I spent 3 to 5 hours every single week for my junior year on, really diving deep into this scholarship process, right? And so I had a really, really tight list of scholarship resources that basically had my name on them. And so when it came down for me to apply for scholarships, my friends asked me to stop applying so they could win some, right? They knew they weren't going to beat me for the money that I was submitting for. And that's the position you ultimately want to be in. And so if I had to say scholarship search engines, of course, Scholarship Academy has the Virtual Scholarship Center, which we would love for you guys to gain access to. If you're in South DeKalb or South Fulton, you're going to get free access thanks to United Way for that resource. I like, in terms of mobile apps, I like Scholly. I think it's a little closer to, because it has more of the local resources in it. I think that some of those bigger databases miss the opportunity to share like local and state specific opportunities. So you're not going to find like the Georgia Engineering Foundation or the Georgia Communications Foundation on any of those bigger databases. What you're going to have to do is really sit down and make a list. Think about, for professional associations, what kinds of groups are going to care about you pursuing a career in that particular category. Think about your church affiliations. Think about organizations you've been a part of in high school, right? And that's how you're really going to build your actual scholarship list. I'll pause there and see if there's any questions I can answer. If you want to raise your hand, you can. And then if you want to unmute yourself, we'll do that. Or if you want to just post it in the chat. No questions? You guys got it all figured out? Uh-oh. Okay. If there's no questions, I'll keep going. I can't tell. Okay, somebody asked about the, oh, I see a few questions, Tom, towards the bottom. Can you just call out a few for me?
Sure, I'm sorry, my thing isn't scrolling. Okay, so can you reapply for a scholarship that you have won?
Great question. So one of the really important things for you to keep in mind is that there's a difference between a renewable scholarship and a non-renewable scholarship. So some scholarships are just one-time awards, right? And so it may be from a church or a sorority or fraternity or a professional association in your area, and they're just looking for current currently graduating high school seniors. And then there's some that are renewable, right? So Achieve Atlanta is a great example of a scholarship that you're gonna get every year for 4 years, right? Because they wanna make sure that you have the money that you need to be able to stay in college. Now, here's the trick. One of the things that my grandmother taught me years and years ago is that thank you opens the door for more. So we actually had a student who got a one-time scholarship from a local organization, and she wrote them a thank you letter after she finished her first year and told them about all the amazing things that she had done once she was accepted and enrolled at her college or university. And do you know, and then when she came back to Atlanta for her summer break, she went and visited them and showed them pictures and built a relationship with them. Do you know that when she got ready to go back to campus that next semester, they actually sent her back with a check to close the rest of her gap for that year, just because she said thank you and she built a relationship to open that door for more. So I can't tell you how critical that is. I have seen scholarship programs take money away because students didn't show up for the award ceremony or they didn't send follow-up information, right? All of those things, like the application is the first part. It's the follow through and completion that will help you keep raising money throughout your matriculation.
Okay, so we have another question here from Ethan. Now, Ethan, I was just getting ready to ask you because Ethan's question is, could you apply to any scholarships as a sophomore? And I don't know if he means sophomore of high school or a sophomore of college. I'm assuming sophomore of high school.
Yeah, I'm going to assume sophomore of high school. Absolutely, right? So there are scholarships out there for second graders. And so it is never too early to get in the habit of putting together competitive applications, guys. I really want you to kind of get that in your mind. Again, by the time I finished my junior year, I had $50,000 in scholarships. And so there's all kinds of scholarship programs. One specifically is the Prudential Spirit of Community Award. They start awarding 8th grade, right? And they give you $5,000 towards your education. So start early so you give yourself enough runway to raise $150,000, $200,000 to fund your entire education.
Excuse me. Okay, so we got a couple of repeat questions here really quick, Jessica. I think you can just spout these out. So this one is, may I have the site up for the military dependent students again, scholarships rather again?
Yes, so it is militaryscholars.org. That's where you want to start, militaryscholars.org.
And the similar type of question, Zahara asked this, what are the apps you mentioned to have access to many scholarships?
Scholarly is a good app. I was going to mention for the person that mentioned earlier that they were worried about their essays because of English. There's actually an essay bot that helps you put together your essay, an app that will help you do that. So guys, like in this mobile world, there's a solution. There's a mobile app solution for everything. So I would spend time like looking at some of those resources and seeing how you can get supports in the areas where you might not feel as confident. But Scholarly is a good place to start. Of course, Georgia Futures has a lot of Georgia specific resources. So I would take the time and go through their site and make sure that you have all of the information there. I have about 5 minutes left. I want to make sure I talk about some of the scholarships that are available locally. So you've got organizations like the NAACP chapter. You've got scholarships from like the Community Foundation for Greater Atlanta. So this George and Pearl Strickland scholarship is like strictly for students who want to go to Clark Atlanta or Morehouse. So you can get really, really specific to private scholarships that are focused on the actual college or university that you're planning to attend or focus on your degree. But two that I definitely want to highlight tonight, 5 Strong Scholars, they're an awesome partner of the Scholarship Academy. Their application is coming up soon. There are a list of HBCUs that you would have to be interested in enrolling in. And there's a 3-round interview process, but I would strongly encourage you to go to the 5 Strong Scholars website. Posse also is happening right now. You have to be nominated by your high school or a community-based organization. So someone from College Aim definitely nominate you for that opportunity. But definitely want to make sure you guys are getting in these pipelines for some of these scholarships that are going to be full tuition, right? and kind of get a big chunk of your actual financial aid package is covered. So all you're kind of trying to find is the last bits of private scholarship dollars to close those gaps. So definitely want to make sure I highlight these two. I believe there's a State Farm Scholars Program that's coming up as well. But I want you guys to know about these. The deadlines are coming up pretty soon. And then for those of you who are interested, there's a couple of early bird opportunities. These are just a list of scholarships that are coming up relatively soon. So Prudential is due in October. The VFW oratorical competition is due in November. So don't wait. The whole point is do not wait to get serious about this process. Horatio Alger is another one that is due really soon, right? So we want to make sure you guys are diving into the scholarship process. Like we normally do 4-hour boot camp. So I tried to cram as many nuggets as I possibly could in this 45-minute presentation. I hope you guys will now go ahead and if there's any final questions I can answer, I'm happy to do that, but we definitely want you to go ahead and participate in the actual college fair portion of the program for tonight, and make sure you engage with the colleges. I believe there's some cool prizes as you guys are getting to know about the various colleges and universities that have signed up to participate in this virtual event. I might even stop by at a few booths. I can't even talk anymore. A few booths and learn some additional information. Are there any, give me your strongest last two questions, and then we will close out for this evening so you don't miss out on actually getting to interact with the colleges tonight.
Okay, give me a second. I'm trying to get over here to the to the area. I was actually answering somebody's question. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Octavia, she's asking any example of scholarship for high school students. I mean, I think we went through a litany of them. It's just, you just got to get out there and find it.
Yeah.
And Dan is saying his posse interview is tomorrow. Good luck, sir. He wants to know if there are any tips for his interview.
Oh, so Posse does what they call like a dynamic interview process, right? And so a big part of that is like you having an understanding of like current events, the world around you, you being comfortable enough in your own skin to demonstrate like your leadership in group settings. And so I know that kind of that part of the process is really interesting. And then also like you being authentically connected and committed to a particular college or university within the Posse list. I'm happy to talk to you offline. We've had many students go through the Posse process. I don't know if this is the first or the second interview, but I'm gonna share our contact information. And if you need help or last minute coaching, I'm happy to personally do that. We love the people over at College Aim. They're friends of Scholarship Academy. So this is our email address. If you have a question after today, we're happy to answer it, point you in the right direction. If you missed something, I know this session was recorded and they're gonna post it tomorrow. So log back in and jot as much information down as you possibly can. I know that was like drinking from the fire hose, but I don't know any other way to do it than just say, go forth, be great, and win some money.